Okay. Okay. So we are live. Welcome to this episode of Legal Morse of Action. I am here with Kristen Rahim, and we are going to talk today about the divorce of Tiger Woods and Elin Woods. What do
I'm
you
very
know
excited
about
about
this
this.
case?
I actually don't
Anything?
know much. I just remember back in the day hearing about Tiger Woods and he always was cheating. That's really the only gist I got of it. So I'm very excited to do this one today.
Me too. I think this is interesting. Back when this happened, I don't think I took as much of attention on the like divorce part of it, just the drama around
Yes.
the fact that she smashed up his car. So
I just learned that recently.
yeah.
So I'm excited to kind of like
and we
deep
just
dive into
went
that.
to where he lives.
Yes, which was insane.
Yeah, the golf course was so nice. Apparently he helped
Beautiful.
design it.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
I mean, the houses were insane. I felt like I was going through like a music video or something.
yeah, we did an event over at the subdivision where he lives, and it's called Islesworth, and it's here in Orlando. So all this happened
Beautiful.
right there.
Yeah. Our whole team got to go, which was fun.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
really
great.
exciting.
Yeah.
All right, so let me tell you, we'll start with some facts about
Okay.
Tiger Woods. He was born on December 30th, 1975 in Cypress, California. He's the only child between his dad, Earl, and his mom, Cooltilda. I hope I said that right. I'm sure I didn't. He has 3 half siblings on his father's first marriage. Okay. Obviously, Tiger isn't his birth name. It's his nickname in honor of his father's friend, a colonel in the South Vietnamese military.
Oh, wow.
So his full name, his Christian name, if you will, is Eldrick Taunt Tiger Woods. So he was considered a child golf prodigy following 2 years of playing at the collegiate level at Stanford University, turned professional at age 20.
Wow.
I remember learning a long time ago that his dad had him playing golf at like 2 or 3. Yeah, and that he'd been really pushing him hard on playing golf and doing that.
Yeah.
So, I always thought that that was really, really interesting for him.
His son plays with him now, not to kind of jump to present day real quick.
Yes, and I actually saw a video of them doing all of these, the same mannerisms.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that I guess they are really, really similar.
That's hilarious.
So that
I'm
was
sure he loves that.
yeah, that was really cute. So Elin, she was Elin Maria Pernilla Nordgren. Hopefully I said that the right way. She was born on January 1st, 1980 in Stockholm, Sweden. She is one of 3 children. She has a twin sister and an older brother born to Barbro Holmberg, a politician, and Thomas Nordgren, a radio journalist. Her parents divorced when she was 7. Elin held various jobs in Europe, a supermarket cashier, a model, an au pair before moving to the United States. She had hopes of one day becoming a child psychologist.
Oh.
She is so pretty.
She is really pretty.
I do think she had every opportunity to try to turn this into a very famous career, and she chose
Not to, right?
clearly not to do
Yeah.
that. So, some of the background of their timeline. In 2000, Elin took a job as a sales associate in Stockholm clothing store where she met Mia Pavernick, a wife of a Swedish golfer, Jasper Pavernick. Ms. Pavernick hired Elin as an au pair to the couple's 4 children, and she moved to the United States full-time to take up this job. I feel like you broke the cardinal rule of an au pair. Not to have like one of the most beautiful women.
Yeah, I know.
Invite them into your house.
Yeah.
But she seems like she probably did not cause problems. Engrossed in the professional golf set, Elin attracted a lot of attention and many took interest, including Tiger Woods. The first year that Elin spent, she was in a relationship with someone else, to the dismay of Tiger, who asked to be introduced to her.
Wow.
Bold.
Yeah, bold.
Mia Pavernick even stated that Elin had no interest in Tiger, and he was okay with that. Tiger was finally introduced to Elin at the 2001 Open Championship, which, by the way, is the oldest golf championship in the world, as well as the most prestigious.
Do you
Interesting.
watch golf?
I don't.
I
My
don't
mom
either.
does. My mom plays a lot of golf. My husband plays a lot of golf. Kyle plays golf. Like, golf's a thing. We do golf tournaments, it seems like, every year, despite the fact that I don't play.
Yeah, my grandpa always was watching golf, and I'd fall asleep to it.
It's so boring.
It is. When you watch it, it's the perfect to take a nap to.
It's a very boring sport, but you know, it's a thing. I want my daughters to get into golf because I heard that you can get really great college scholarships for female
Really?
golf players.
Oh, they totally should. It's also where all the negotiations happen. I hear, like, if you're in like
big
corporation
business, I
life, yeah.
guess, corporate life, right?
Yeah. Ours is the courtroom.
Yeah. Our negotiations happen standing outside with the pressure of the trial.
So in 2003, during the President's Cup tournament in South Africa, Tiger proposed to Elin at the Shamrari, I probably destroyed that name, game reserve. Okay. So he proposed at a President's Cup tournament.
At a reasonable time frame, right?
Yeah, okay.
They were introduced in 2001, engaged in 2003.
It's a decently long time.
Yeah.
So they married in October of 2024, still another year
2004.
later. 2004, excuse me, sorry.
It's okay.
By the 19th hole of Sandy Lane Resort in Barbados. Woods rented out the entire complex for a week for the occasion, including 3 golf courses and 110 rooms. The rental alone cost Woods almost $2 million.
That's wild. That's wild to throw that away for.
That's just on the rental. That's not including probably decor, dress. They probably paid for people's travel. Man, I couldn't imagine.
Neither.
The couple eventually welcomed their first child, a girl named Sam Alexis Woods, in June of 2007. And then their second child, a boy named Charlie Axel, was born in February 2009. So I'm assuming this is his son that plays golf with him.
Yeah.
Very cool. The couple settled in a luxury neighborhood of Islesworth in Windermere, Florida, which is what we were just talking about.
It's right near Orlando.
Yeah, which is a neighborhood who's known for its country club and course designed by Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, I thought, if I may be wrong about this, I'm totally willing to be corrected, but I think he contributed to the designing of the golf course on Isleworth.
Probably.
Either designing or upgrading it.
It would make sense.
Right.
Yeah. So Woods still holds a professional record at that course to this day. Oh, that's cool. Many other athletes live and have lived in Islesworth community, including basketball Hall of Famers Shaquille O'Neal, Vince Carter, and baseball outfielder Ken Griffey Jr.
So there's actually locally to here, you can take like a boat. You can like charter a boat in the lake that is in Isleworth. And you have to go see all of their houses.
Wait,
it's
that's
so
so
nice.
cool.
Yeah, we did it one year.
We should totally do that.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was, and you
Thematic?
could like bring alcohol.
Yeah,
it was a very enjoyable. It was nice.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
And in November of 2009, the National Enquirer began publishing details about Woods allegedly engaging in an extramarital affair with a New York nightclub manager. So it begins.
Really, bro? Okay. The floodgates on the story truly broke in November 27 of 2009 at around 2:30 a.m. when Woods got into his Escalade at his Isleworth home. After driving through multiple hedges and hitting a tree in a neighbor's yard, Woods eventually came to a stop as he crashed into a fire hydrant. The collision woke Elin, who came out with a golf club, broke the back window of the SUV, and dragged Woods into the street as he repeatedly lost consciousness. This is that incident.
What?
I remember hearing about this, and I don't know. I just couldn't believe that he would screw this up.
I know.
Wood suffered injuries to his mouth, and Elin instructed a neighbor to call emergency services. Toxicology reports showed that while Woods was not under the influence of alcohol at the time of the crash, he did have Vicodin painkillers in his system, for which he had a prescription, and the police report described his injuries as serious and noted that he had been unconscious for about 6 minutes following the crash. Yeah. Woods
Wow.
did receive a citation and a fine of $164 for careless driving due to the incident. After the news media picked up the story, many speculated that Woods and Norgardin were engaged in an argument with one another, which led to the accident. Reports of her coming out of the house with a golf club, the irony.
That's the irony
like
of
like they
that.
didn't have a bat, they had nothing
Do they
else.
have pictures of this? Because I would love to see a photo.
I think there are pictures of
Oh,
it.
we have to look
Google
that
it.
up. Yeah, I'm going to Google.
It were quickly spun to make it appear as though she was a scorned wife attempting to threaten her husband for his infidelity, and that the accident was caused by his attempt to evade her, which apparently is not true.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that again, his PR team was like trying to spin this as like
This car's destroyed. That's all I'm going to say to that.
So,
Not to interrupt you.
Woods put out a vague statement on his website 2 days after the incident and attempted to clear up the rumors by saying, although I understand there's curiosity, the many false, unfounded, and malicious rumors that are currently circulating about my family and me are irresponsible. The only person responsible for the accident is me. My wife, Elin, acted courageously when she saw I was hurt and in trouble. She was the first person to help me, and any other assertion is absolutely false. Okay, now that statement to me sounds very much like he's trying to save face.
Yes, 100%.
Because he knew that he was out late. He was probably not answering. This is my suspicion. I have no idea if any of this is true. I am making this up, okay? This is based on my experience as a divorce lawyer. What I would expect my client to tell me happened behind closed doors, right? So I didn't speak to Elin. I didn't speak to Tiger. I don't know any of this. This is all other people's secondhand reports. These are opinions.
This is our Morse coded theory.
This is my theory. It's actually not based on the truth. And I certainly don't know. Okay. So what I think is he didn't come home. He wasn't answering his phone. She was suspicious. She knew where he was. Then he came home all fucked up and crashed up the car. And she's like, why are you embarrassing me?
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this? Why are you making it so public? Like, maybe, again, I don't know. I don't know, Elin. I know they're local, but they don't know me. They didn't call me for their divorce.
You're not your best friend?
But I would imagine that in a situation like this, you know, she potentially knows that he probably isn't completely faithful, although that's not just. That's not appropriate.
So you think she had suspicions of it already?
I think she outright knew.
Okay.
I actually think this is my theory on celebrities. I don't know that this is true. I don't know any of them. Okay. This is my
We
theory.
disclaim to every theory.
Everything that we talk about is just
Yes.
suspicions, other people's words. I don't know.
Don't be
Opinions.
suspicious.
This is all opinions. Is that if you're very famous and you have like a very famous husband or spouse, that you know there's a chance or a high likelihood that they're going to be unfaithful.
Yeah.
And you plainly accept it, right? And the rule is don't get caught. Don't be found out. Don't make a fool of me.
Yeah, do you think they do it because they like the lifestyle?
Keep it on the hush. I think somebody who is maybe very famous or very high achieving like Tiger Woods is, I think maybe has such a big ego that he couldn't resist all of the temptation.
Yeah, I'm sure women were throwing themselves at him.
Right. And you may, as the spouse of that person, have to just sort of accept that, you know, maybe that's just a part of the life. Maybe that's a part of being married to somebody like that. Like maybe there is like clear knowledge that that's going to happen. Right. I don't know. It's so pervasive and it happens so frequently in these celebrity high achiever realms that I feel as though I don't know how they could not know.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is I was just kind of looking at the timeline is that their son was born in February of 2029 and this happened in November of 2029. So like a fairly new baby.
How old? Wait,
I mean,
when was the
born
son
in February of that same year. In
Yeah.
November, this happened. So that was recent.
Yeah, I mean, the 6 months old,
Yeah,
11, 10,
that's-
9 months old.
that would make me even more mad.
I'd be furious.
Yeah,
I would smash his
You're coming
car.
home at 2:30 a.m.
And you're making this so obvious. You're crashing your fucking car. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Why are
Mhm.
you doing this? I'd be furious too.
Yeah.
And I sort of think that it's just the reality of the life that they live. And
Yeah.
I just don't think there's a way around it other than the like, please don't make this public. Or maybe they really do believe that they'll be faithful. I don't know. It just doesn't
Probably
seem
a
like
mix
any
of
of them
both.
are.
Sounds stressful.
Yeah, it's not for me.
Not for me.
Um,
So there was a release of his statement was on November of 2029, which coincided with a U.S. Weekly report, which was based around and informed by a 24-year-old woman named Jamie Grubbs, who allegedly said that she engaged in a 31-month-long affair with Woods,
which
who
is
was
while she was pregnant.
Who was
Sick shit.
frantically, attempting to hide the same from his wife, Elin. Grubbs provided U.S. Weekly with the recording of a voicemail allegedly left behind by Woods, in which he asked her to change the message on her voicemail box so as not to include her name, so that Elin, who had been going through Woods's phone, would not catch him if she called. Oof, that's rough. Grubbs did not comply with this request, and after cooperating with U.S. Weekly to publish her story, she continued to release more information about her relationship with Woods through a form of text messages the two allegedly exchanged. And I'm sure Grubbs got some good money for this, right? They pay for that stuff, right?
Yeah, what a name for it.
I know, Grubbs. Grub. Grubbs' story would then inspire over half a dozen more women to come forward about their alleged affairs with Woods, and these allegations against him were numerous, salacious, and forced him to release yet another statement about the situation. His PR team's freaking out.
PR team must have been like
literally typing fingers away. The statement said, "I have not been true to my values and the behavior my family deserves. I am not without faults and I am far short of perfect. I am dealing with my behavior and personal failings behind closed doors with my family." And the second one is the stories in particular that physical violence played any role in the car accident were utterly false and malicious. Elin has always done more to support our family and shown more grace than anyone could possibly expect. There's him sucking up.
He needed to.
Yeah. In addition, an additional statement that came out 2 weeks later, Woods admitted to some degree of cheating by referencing his infidelity. At the PGA Tour headquarters in Point Verde Beach, Florida, in February of 2010, Woods gave the most candid and forthcoming statement thus far, which stated that I was unfaithful, I had affairs, and I cheated. What I did was unacceptable. I hurt my wife, my kids, my mother, my wife's family, my friends, my foundation, and kids all around the world who admire me. I knew my actions were wrong, but I convinced myself that normal rules didn't apply. I never thought about who I was hurting. Instead, I thought about only myself. I ran straight through the boundaries that married couples should live by. I thought I could get away with whatever I wanted to. I felt that I had worked hard my entire life and deserved to enjoy all temptations around me. I felt I was entitled, and thanks to money and fame, I didn't have to go far to find them.
It's true.
It's true. It's very true.
It's very, very honest.
Very honest. And, humbling, I guess, in a sense. Like, it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, it is embarrassing. And it's embarrassing that he kind of so publicly, I hate to say it, but destroyed his family.
Yeah.
Right. That was really unfair to his children.
Mm-hmm.
His children didn't really deserve that.
Yeah. And especially when they get older, right? Or I guess they're kind of older now. Like, to know that my dad was having an affair while my mom was pregnant with me, that would be something I would have a hard time with.
I think I'd be mad. I would take it. I wouldn't like that one.
So Woods reported that he spent 45 days from December 2009 to February 2010 in an inpatient therapy to address his behaviors and receive guidance as to how to do better and be better for his wife and family in the future. During that time, Woods was taking an indefinite hiatus from golf to work on his family and try to rehabilitate his image. He missed his own tournament, the Chevron World Challenge, and the WGC Center, I'm going to say that wrong, Play Match Championship at this time. I feel like I remember hearing that he kind of just disappeared.
I remember that he just stopped playing golf. Well, because and even after this, his career tanked.
Oh, I bet.
He lost a bunch of
sponsors.
If I'm not mistaken, that is at least what I heard in the in the media that he lost a bunch of sponsorships. People were this really did a number on his career.
Canceled, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. Before canceled was the thing.
The media and the public pillared and shamed Woods for his behaviors to the extent that he would lose sponsorship deals with likes of AT&T, Gatorade, and General Motors. Notably, Nike never severed ties with Woods throughout the ordeal.
They don't need to, right? Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Come on. They're like, he'll come out on the other.
Yeah,
they're like, pro sports players are always beating their wife. This ain't even that bad. Sorry, that was dark.
No, it's true though. Even still, Woods reportedly lost up to $35 million in sponsorship revenue during that time. Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of a good. I mean, as like a wife, I would be like, you should. But then I'd be like, man, that's also.
I know that hits her purse, right?
I know. Yeah. Despite Elin and Tiger's claims that they tried for months and months to repair their relationship, they were just unable to truly reconcile. I would be hard for me.
This kind of money loss while going through a tumultuous breakup is actually a real reality, right? That while you're going through the divorce, especially if your income and your funds and your employment is performance based, right? Like his is, and reputation based. When you're going through a divorce, you really can tank your career and your ability to make money. I spoke with a person today who did real estate and was like a top earner in the state and all of these like very high achieving. And they said that, since the divorce was ongoing, they weren't achieving what they used to. And that's a reality. And it can be a hard pill to swallow for the non-earning spouse that typically supported their spouse and it didn't do the earning, that all of a sudden they make less money. So how do we decipher if they're actually making less money because their mental health is kind of struggling from the divorce, or on the other side of it, is it that they're intentionally underemploying themselves for the purpose of reducing their exposure for alimony and child support?
Yeah, that's such
like
a good
the
point.
Age-old question.
Yeah, I'm always telling clients, you need to make sure that you're keeping up with your mental health. You need to make sure, because we're not therapists, right? We're lawyers. So
I'm not qualified for that.
Yeah, that's basically what I say. I'm not qualified for this, but I want to make sure we're checking in with you. You're still okay. And you always have great videos and resources we send our clients to, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. Anyway, but seriously, it's a big deal. So the divorce. Oof. In August of 2010, Elin and Tiger put out a joint statement confirming that their marriage had been dissolved. We are sad that our marriage is over and we wish each other the very best in the future. While we are no longer married, we are the parents of 2 wonderful children and their happiness has been and always will be of paramount importance to us.
Not to interrupt you, I did Google the children because I'm nosy. They are beautiful children.
Of course.
Oh my God. 2 beautiful people made the prettiest babies.
Elin is so pretty.
Oh
I'm pretty sure she could not make.
Literally, they look, and his son looks just like him. They're like twins. I want to look up the TikTok videos now you're talking about.
One of the things that a lot of celebrity couples negotiate for is this joint statement.
Oh, really?
That is a huge negotiation piece with
the attorneys, you think?
Yeah, the attorneys negotiate this, and there's a lot of PR and negotiation, and this has a lot of value. So when they come out with this joint statement and you read it, you should know that this was a long, hard-fought battle of exactly what it would say, and that they
a lot of red lines.
That they would typically keep it brief. That's why they're usually very short because, and that they usually want to ask for privacy.
Yeah, I feel like I typically now it's the statements on Instagram or something.
Yeah.
With the black screen and the white letters. But yeah, I feel like it's always like, please respect our privacy at this time. Or that's so true.
The petition was filed on August 23rd of 2010, which contained the following detail. Elin was the petitioner and Tiger was the respondent. The parties filed a consent to venue, allowing their divorce to take place in the 14th Judicial County and for Bay County, Florida, rather than the 9th Judicial County, Orange County, where the marriage was last intact. That's typically the rule in a divorce, that you file the dissolution wherever the marriage was last intact. That would have been Orange County, our county. And they chose to put this in Bay County. Now, some of the reasons I suspect we do this, I have some cases that I do this in, that we'll do it in other counties. It's because oftentimes you'll choose a county that doesn't have online access. You know how there are some counties we practice
Yes.
in that it's
Cannot
much
see
harder
their-
to access.
Yes.
It's one of those counties, right? It's harder to access, and the judges there may be more favorable to allowing like a motion to seal the documents. And, you know, you can just handle it differently because it's a smaller county and they'll respect that more. Whereas Orange County being, you know, Orlando, Florida, and a big county, you know, egos are kind of going to come into play with the clerk.
Yeah.
Not that it's anything wrong with it. Our state does favor public records. So that's a big perspective. And I've said this 100 times, but it's worth saying again. It's why Florida man is a thing.
Mhm.
People in all of the states of all of our country all do crazy shit.
Yeah.
It's just that Florida's public records laws are so broad.
Yeah.
So they are trying to circumvent that.
You know,
At least I suspect.
So in this situation, not to bring up the bar exam trauma, but I had a family law bar thing, and one of them was the wife was getting divorced and she wanted to protect her mandatory disclosures, which are the documents you're required to give, right? What would you file in that sense? Like, obviously, if you had a client come to us and was like, hey, I want to, you know, protect my assets, and that he's Tiger Woods, do you file something, or would you just do this kind of maybe possible consent to venue?
I would try, and based on my client's status, I would try to see if we can resolve the case before I even file. I think you really need to start there. Bye, Kyle. I think you need to start there and see if you can settle the case before filing so that it could be done under seal. Because you could get divorced and say the term of our divorce and our marital settlement agreement is not going to be made public, but the attorneys all have copies. And should there be a need for enforcement, it'll be filed at that time. So you actually can keep that private if the parties are cooperative, right? But you may not be able to. I potentially would pull a vanilla pleadings, right? And I probably would try to file a motion to get it sealed. Right? If I had to, if I thought that this was turning into a bloodbath, I'd file a motion to try to get it sealed and see if I could use some case law and protecting our celebrities. California, to my understanding, is very good at protecting their celebrities, right?
I'm sure they have some case law.
I bet they do.
Yeah.
Right. So that's probably that is definitely how I would handle it. I had another case that was very decently high profile, and we were able to get our settlement and not have to file our settlement. So
nice.
we kept that private, and that was really fortunate for our clients. Sometimes when it's high value, you'll only put portions of the settlement in like a final judgment, that only the enforceable parts, and then keep the other parts confidential, right? You can have a separate this I did with a really high, well-known attorney. We put portions of their agreement that were kind of sufficient, and then it referenced another agreement that the parties kept private. So it kind of kept people's income and certain statuses of his business private, so that because he's just a well-known attorney. So I end up representing a lot of attorneys. For some reason, I'm like the lawyers.
Because you're the best lawyer.
Yeah, and I think I will tell any of them like the truth, right? I won't let them push me around.
So true.
Yeah. So since Florida is a no-fault divorce state, all you have to really state is that the marriage is irretrievably broken. The parties executed a marital settlement agreement, which included a parenting plan, on July 3rd and July 4th of 2010. Those executed agreements were submitted alongside the petition. So they did settle this before they even filed the case. Elin requested that her legal name be restored to Elin Woods, right?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I feel like I rarely see that. Not rarely. That's okay. Let me take that back. Typically, I see when there's children, they want to keep the name just because they want the same name as their children.
I think she was furious.
I mean, she has a right to be.
Yeah, I think she's furious.
Take that name because it's probably so tainted at this point.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
this whole thing was embarrassing to her, and she was
Yeah.
like, "I wasn't interested in talking to you.
Yeah.
You convinced me, you talked me into it. You pulled me into this world that I wasn't asking to be a part of.
Mhm.
It wasn't a career I wanted, it wasn't the life that I necessarily wanted, but I loved you. And then you did this to me? I didn't need that shit." I don't know. I don't know if that's how she feels. That's how I would feel.
That's how I feel too.
That's how I would feel. I'd be like, "Why?" Elin was represented by Jacksonville-based firm McGuire Woods and Orlando-based Lowndes Drosdick Doster, Cantor, and Reed represented, and Woods, right? So she had 2 attorneys. I know the Lowndes firm very well. They don't typically handle family. Anyway, Woods was represented by West Palm Beach-based Sasser, Ciceros, and Sasser, and Panama City-based law office of Carol McCauley. That's a lot of attorneys.
A lot of attorneys. I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
That's a
yeah.
mouthful.
It was. It was. I know Sasser. I know them. Yeah. I know them very well. They're at the review courses all the time. They're
So
big
they
in the,
do a lot of family law.
yeah. They're big in the family law circuit.
Nice.
Both the petitioner and respondent filed a waiver of the delay period pursuant to Florida Statute 61.19, which they requested that the court enter the final judgment prior to the lapse of the standard 20-day waiting period. That typically doesn't come up in our cases because it's the answer time.
Yeah.
20-day waiting period is resolved by the answer.
Yep.
So that's what the waiting period, in my opinion, refers to. We may call it a waiting period, but it's really just the answer time. It's not the waiting period like in some states where you have to be separated for a year before you can file.
Yes. You know, I just recently kind of learned about that.
How do
through a
you
reality
manage
TV show.
temporary needs?
I have no idea because in this case, it's Real Housewives. I love Real Housewives. It was a Real Housewives of Potomac. They had to stay together for a whole year, but they basically were separated. And there was young kids, and she really didn't work, and he was the breadwinner, and he cut her off. So she's kind of just stuck there.
That's just so
Wild.
unjust.
Yes, I agree.
You must have a way to file for separation, and there must be a way. There must be a way to file for separation and get temporary support.
Has to be something.
I don't know. That's my theory. But I don't work in those states, thankfully. So whenever our clients are like, it's taken a year to get divorced, I'm like,
good.
The legal system in other states, like you can't even file for a year. You can't get divorced at all. So the waiver said the parties have been separated for a substantial period of time and signed a marital settlement agreement well more than 20 days prior to the filing of the petition. And an injustice would result from the delay, and the delay would generate unnecessary public attention, which would adverse the best interests of the parties' minor children. The final judgment was entered on August 23rd, 2010. Some terms of the settlement. The MSA is not available to the public, although there's been some speculation to the terms. Forbes initially claimed that Elin would be receiving $750 million, though this exceeded Woods' net worth at the time of $650 million. Later, TMZ reported that amount was actually closer to $100 million, $20 million for everywhere they were married, according to the ABA Journal. Elin and Tiger reportedly signed a prenuptial agreement before their 2004 wedding, which they should have. That makes sense.
That would make sense.
And it's alleged that the terms of the prenup required renegotiation due to a possible infidelity clause. So maybe he was supposed to be.
What a dummy. If you have that in your prenup, why are you out there cheating with everyone and their mother?
Men don't think.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just kidding. Women make bad decisions too. Though the existence of this clause is not confirmed, Elin received $80 million more than she otherwise would have received under the original terms of the prenup, according to Esquire magazine. Wow. Right? Again, I don't think anybody really knows.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of value in making sure that these terms stay private. And it can be done.
I wonder, do you think that maybe she asked to have like a part of the shares of Nike or something?
Maybe. If I were her, I think I'd want my payout and to be out.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would try to advise my client, because if those shares go down, you lose value, right?
Yeah.
Like bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yeah.
Right. So That's something I try to consider when people really want to be done.
Yeah.
Now there are unique provisions that could come up, like she could get her shares in what that is. And again, it's gone up, but I don't think he'll ever be what he
No.
was. I just don't think it'll be the same. Also with age, right? Everybody gets, older, and their career, especially physical sports type career, gets reduced. That's just a reality. Nobody thinks that's untrue.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to not take that as a
Yeah.
reality.
That's
You know?
interesting. I only brought that up because, not to bring up Real Housewives again. One of them, she had a divorce, and she was married to the guy who owned The Simpsons, and she
Oh,
got pretty much like a share
Matt
in it.
Groening.
Yes.
Yeah.
She got basically like a little share in it.
Yeah.
And now she just lives this beautiful, wealthy life because she has a share in The Simpsons. And at the time, they
Brilliant.
thought it wasn't really going to go anywhere.
Oh, really?
And so it was a part of the terms of the settlement. Now she's like,
Brilliant. See, so
Brilliant.
sometimes it's good,
yeah,
and then sometimes maybe it's worth nothing, or you
Yeah.
could have negotiated more cash,
for sure.
right? And invest it your own way if you think you're intelligent enough, right? The couple also reportedly shares parental responsibility and 50-50 custody in their undisclosed parenting plan, which they should,
Yeah.
right? I'm sure he doesn't take exactly equal time sharing, but she didn't need to fight him fight him to make sure she gets more child support, and she's going to be well supported. I really respect that she seemed to have taken a quiet life.
Yeah, she's never done like a memoir or anything, right?
I mean, that may have been part of the agreement.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That might be why all of these reports that it's so high or nearly exceeds his net worth, because they bought her silence, right?
Yeah.
They bought out of that.
And you kind of said that in the last podcast we did about Ariana Grande.
Yeah, she bought
Sometimes
that.
that's like huge value to them, right?
Huge value, because her career is going to go on and go forth, right? Especially her.
Yeah, oh gosh, yeah.
So
over time, Tiger would recoup most of his sponsorships. He also returned to professional golf circuit in March of 2010, though his career was never the same due to the plague with injuries and needing multiple surgeries. He would not achieve a major post-accident until 2019, when he earned another green jacket at the Masters. Okay. In recent years, Woods has focused less on his career and more on the career of his son he shares with Elin, 16-year-old Charlie, who has shown promise as an up-and-coming golfer. Tiger can often be found caddying for his son or playing alongside him in certain tournaments. That's really nice.
Yeah,
that must be fun for him. Elin and Tiger remain friends and were seen together as recently as December of 2024 at the PNC Championship in Orlando, Florida, where they amicably cheered on their son. The pair, I'm gonna say the pair, cheered on their son together for Charlie, and they even shared a hug. Nice. So Tiger has been linked to Olympic skier Lindsey Vonn from 2013 to 2015, stylist Kristen Smith from 2016 to 2017, restaurant manager Erica Herman from 2017 to 2022, and currently Vanessa Trump, ex-wife of Donald Trump Jr., eldest son of President Donald Trump.
I went to an event in Las Vegas recently, and Eric Trump was there.
Really?
He's like 6'4".
You did not tell me that. That is so cool.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. He's 6'4".
He's like huge.
Is the whole family tall? They kind of give tall vibes, right?
I have no idea. I never thought about it, but he just was.
Yes.
On the stage, you could see him. He was very large.
Wow. That's cool.
Weird. Yep. Elin used the money awarded to her through the settlement to purchase a $12 million Florida mansion, which was built in the late 1920s, which she demolished and then rebuilt.
Okay.
I guess that's her choice. Elin would go on to speak about Tiger's infidelity and the circumstances surrounding their eventual split with People magazine, saying, "I've been through hell. It's hard to think you have this life, and then all of a sudden, was it a lie? You're struggling because it wasn't real, but I survived. It was hard, but it didn't kill me." About learning of the affair, Elin said, "I was in absolute shock and disbelief. I felt stupid as more things were revealed. How could I not have known anything? The word betrayal isn't strong enough. I felt like my whole world had fallen apart. It seemed that my world, as though I thought it, was never existed. I felt embarrassed for having been so deceived. I felt betrayed by many people around me." Elin received a degree in psychology from Rollins College in Winter Park in 2014. Since her divorce from Tiger, she has been linked to businessman Jamie Dingman in 2011, entrepreneur Chris Klein from 2013 to 2017, and currently former NFL player Jordan Cameron. Elin and Jordan have been together since 2019 and have 3 children together.
Good for her.
Good for her. Good for her.
That would be hard.
I do think that she really could have spun this into a career.
She totally could.
And she chose not to. Obviously.
I mean, Claire, do you think she did it for the children?
I do. And well, I think maybe she really wanted to have children.
Honestly, I bet you she just like took her money and was like, let me just live my life.
Yeah,
like I want to be out of the limelight. Get me away.
Let me just have my peace and quiet. She had 3 more children, so that's 5 children.
Yeah, wow.
Maybe that's what she wanted out of her life, was to be a mom.
She needs to pass those genes around. She's beautiful.
I know. The world is better off. The gene pool is just quite
so much better.
Quite better.
That's awesome.
Because she has more in it, you know. But yeah, I just think she really could have done him dirty, and she didn't.
Sure.
I think she kept the peace with him. I think she tried.
I think it kind of shows really the hard. Woman she is.
I do. And the fact that she was so shocked, like hearing those quotes makes me really feel for her.
I feel really bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times it's like, how did you not know? And it's just like.
Also, it sounds awful, but part of me is like, really?
Like, were you just being like, not like an ignorance is bliss kind of a thing?
Yeah, like intentionally, you know? But maybe he really wooed her. Maybe he really was like, no, it's different. I chased you. Who could ever want anyone better? You know, he had like kind of the top of the top, right? Like the most beautiful. And sounds like she's also very smart.
Yeah.
And she's also very caring and, you know, very motherly. Like, I don't know, seemed very supportive. She also seems to be interested in dating people who have like careers or ambition of some sort. So she's probably not stupid, right? You don't end up with people like that if you're, you know, it's not like she married the pool boy.
Trust issues.
I bet
in the beginning.
I bet she deserves to, right? Yeah. So I don't know. That's my thought on that. Yeah. If you were representing her and she came to you, what would be your first piece of advice?
If she came to me originally, well, it's crazy how quick it was, right?
So I think you'd run down your office.
That's actually the first
thing.
I actually would. I'd be like, "Hold on, I gotta put you on a brief hold." Start running. Come to my office. Honestly, I mean, I would like kind of like you said, like, do we want to just kind of have a settlement agreement, try to kind of get this kind of quickly done for you?
Right.
My biggest concern at first would obviously be like, do you guys have your own finances? How does this work? I'm assuming she didn't have to work, right? So does she have her own bank account?
Right? She couldn't.
Yeah.
It actually, her having employment would be impractical with their children.
For sure.
Right?
When the babies were like freshly out of the womb, right?
Oh my God.
So I feel like basically, you know, it's kind of like, do we need to figure out temporary support? You know, is he giving you support? Do we need to figure out how you're going to get through the next few months? I feel like that's always kind of like,
yeah, you kind of start with what bank accounts do you have access to?
Yes.
Can you secure some finances in the interim? Are we going to have to go down this road? Also, I'd be like, you're here with me. Have you talked to him about this? What does he said? Where are you guys at with your current circumstances? And do you know if he has an attorney? Can I contact them?
Yeah. I always ask, you know, how do you think the other party's going to react? I feel like sometimes that can change the strategy a bit, especially if you're in like maybe an abusive situation or something. Like sometimes you got to do that mission safety, right? If the details come out in the consult, you know?
Right. You know, and one of the things I think that's important to consider also at first when you're handed this as an attorney is what do you want your outcome to be? Right? How do we make sure we seek out what your outcome is and make sure that we can focus on that? So I think this one was very interesting. I want to thank Megan as always for being our research assistant. Yes. She's exceptional.
She's our sound guy for today as well.
Yeah, also did the sound off.
She's great. We love Megan.
So that was I want to make sure that we credit her with that.
For sure. I always love doing the podcast.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
They are so much fun.
Yeah.
What did we have this week? Let's do a little
Oh, thanks. Okay, Erin had like 5 hearings in a matter of 3 hours, it felt like. That happened on Tuesday.
I was in like every county.
Just
I was like, bing,
yesterday.
bing, 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 bing.
Honestly, yeah, you were.
I
Like,
was.
beep, beep, beep,
Even
beep, beep,
especially
beep.
with today, I was in 5 counties
Yes,
this week.
you were. Only Erin, I swear. I've had a decent amount of consults, which has been really
Yeah,
nice.
so we have a lot of new clients as a result, right? Because
Yeah.
if you consult with us, you're gonna want to
You're
hire
gonna hire.
unless you don't have a case, right?
Yep.
Today I had a consult where she told me what was going on with her case, and I said, "Hey, listen, um, I wish you hired me at the outset. I would have given you a different result." A lot of times we end up this happens a lot where I have a client come to me after it's happened or on like the heels of a trial or it's about and they're like, "Crap. It's not happening like I thought." And sometimes I can fix it and sometimes I can't. This one I couldn't fix because I said, "Listen, by the time I do all the filing and run through this case, I'm gonna run through more attorney's fees than what I think you'll fix it for." Right? Was she wronged? Yes. Given some bad advice? Yes. Sexually harassed by her own attorney? Also, yes.
What?
That was wild.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
I had a consult this week that really kind of just called just to see if because they're doing stuff pro se.
Yeah.
And they really wanted to just see if what they were doing was a good deal. I always preference to them and I let them know, I was like, this is not a sales bid, what I'm about to tell you. I was like, the amount of people that do their own MSAs, marital settlement agreements, and then come to us and want us to fix it. And only so much we can do. Parenting issues, we can maybe modify. Maybe, depending on the circumstances.
If you got the cause.
Substantial change, right? I can't change that you guys agreed to sell the house, but then never put an end date on it or, didn't have specifics in it or address things properly. There's nothing really I could do. And I said, so, maybe hiring an attorney and they had the means to, right, might be a good idea, right?
Right. Don't be penny wise, pound foolish.
Yes. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't know if we've heard back from him, but I think he really wanted to do it himself. Which is okay. But
it is fine to do that.
It is. I gave him the disclosures. I told him make sure to go through the forms, make sure he's specific. And I even gave him the advice on how to do it pro se. Right. So sometimes you get consults like that too.
I rarely see it go well.
Yeah.
But again, that might be a product of where we work, right? They're not calling us when it went well.
Yes.
But I can tell you a lot of people who think that they want it done themselves. I had a consult one time where the gentleman called me and he had this marital settlement agreement that they drafted and he wanted to sign. And I'm like, this is pretty broken. And I went through it with him and I'm like, yeah, it needs some pretty substantial edits. And I was like, okay, these are the edits that I think needs to happen. And we went through it and we spent the time and then the consult was over. And then he called back and he was like, oh, can you send me your notes? It's like, no, you didn't hire me.
Yeah. Also, you should have been taking notes during the consult.
I mean, whether or not he should have, right?
You're not going to give him work product.
I can't.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't have to ever actually.
Yeah.
I don't ever have to hand over my notes, right?
Yeah,
That's something that is like forever protected. It's like my thoughts.
Yeah.
And I can't do more than have the call, right, with the consult. And this is actually honestly a product of our insurance and the Florida bar creating expectations of what an attorney-client relationship is. So that's something I think that happened a while ago. That's only been like a one-off experience. But again, penny wise, pound foolish, right? Attorneys are an investment. They're an investment to get it right. And they're an investment to make sure I haven't had a lot of clients who need to modify my parenting plan. Right. My parenting plan and my agreements have been like challenged because someone maybe was angry later and they hold up. Like we've experienced it. We've watched it happen and it holds up. So I don't often have modifications needed because I try to build them in a way that they have both flexibility and enforceability. Right? Try to think about a lot of things. So, and another thing I want to kind of mention that this came up 3 times is don't enter into an agreement you can't fulfill.
Yes. Oh, I had a consult just last week with that.
I had one today. they tell me that they entered into this agreement. They have to pay a certain amount, a few $100,000 in equitable distribution. And they're like, I don't know how I'm going to pay it. I'm like,
Why would you agree? I always get the notorious, I just wanted it over with.
I just wanted it over with.
Well, this is a binding agreement, sir/ma'am. Right?
I'm like, if you really want it, I'm going to start creating these plaques. They're just going to be like printed pieces of paper, and I'm going to get like put them in frames, and it's just going to say the word divorced.
Yes.
I'm like, if that's what you wanted was a piece of paper that says divorce, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Okay. The bounds of your marriage are untied. You are untethered.
Irretrievably broken.
But I think that we have to maybe focus a little bit. A lot of people need to focus a bit on getting it right, because then they're like, well, I don't think I can get this money. And I'm like, why did you sign this agreement?
Yeah.
Why didn't you spend the extra? The agreement is like, oh, I'll give $300,000. And they're like, I don't know how I'll get $300,000. Like, I just wanted it over. And I'm like, do you see how it's not over though?
Yeah.
Because now they have no choice but to file and file and file to try to get their money. And I repeat, it is not over. So you do the opposite of making it over. You actually open up something that doesn't have an end date.
Yeah.
Because when you go to trial, the court makes an assessment based on what you have and what money's in existence and where the money will come from. And if there is no like big bucket of money to come from, they will set up a payment kind of schedule. Like, there are just reasonable ways to figure this out, including in court, right? I'm not saying the courts get it perfectly right every time, but don't just wish it was over and do that. That's my advice for the day.
That's a good one.
It's like such a theme. I don't know how to.
I know. That's what I was trying to say in the consult. I was like, I'm not trying to tell you to hire us, but I'm telling you, I see them all the time. Because I even said, I was like, what's nice is that they already had the agreement, right? So it's really we would just really kind of just draft that agreement for them.
Right.
Possibly even a one-day divorce that we offer.
One-day divorce. God, those are magical.
I know.
Those usually are quality circumstances, right? The one-day divorce. Of course, the courts don't divorce them. And there is a way where we can get that waived, but you have to have good cause. I don't always have good cause. And is 20 days such a big deal? I don't think so.
No.
But I do think that the one-day divorce procedure gets it over with, but you got to have agreed. Got to already know what you're going to do. And don't enter into an agreement you can't fulfill. That's some bad faith activity.
For sure.
Anyway, that's this week's.
That was great.
All right. Thanks, team.
Thank you.
Gonna end this one out and have a great week.
Yeah.